Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Tita Oktavia with name 22220026 from A1 class. So here I'm gonna do task final project for pronunciation practice. I have a short story. The title is Hansel and Gretel. So let's start it. Once upon a time, there was a family that lived in a small house deep in the forest. The father was a woodcutter who worked hard to provide for his wife and two children, Hansel and Gretel. Sadly, their mother had passed away when they were very young, and they were very sad without her. One day, the woodcutter decided to remarry. However, his new wife was not kind to Hansel and Gretel. She was always mean to them and treated them poorly. The woodcutter, not knowing what else to do, took Hansel and Gretel deep into the forest and left them there all alone. Hansel, being a clever boy, had brought some breadcrumbs with him. He dropped them on the ground as they walked, so that they could find their way back home. But unfortunately, the birds came and ate all the breadcrumbs, so Hansel and Gretel were lost in the forest. They were very hungry, tired, and scared. As night fell, the forest became very dark. The stars and moon were hidden behind the clouds, and all they could hear was the hooting of an owl. Gretel became very frightened and started to cry. She wanted to go home. Hansel hugged his sister and held her hand tightly. He said, "Don't be afraid, my sister. Tomorrow we will find our way home. Our father will come and find us, and we will be able to go back to our house." They were so tired that they soon fell asleep, holding each other close. Even though they were lost and alone in the forest, they knew that they had each other and that they would find a way home. The next morning, Hansel and Gretel woke up to find that it was very cold in the forest, and they were very hungry. Hansel took his sister's hand and they started looking for the way home again. They walked and walked, but they couldn't find their way home. Suddenly, they came across a strange house. It was made of gingerbread, candy, and chocolate. "Look, Hans, the house is made of chocolate bricks," Gretel exclaimed happily, and they both ate eagerly. While they were eating, an old woman opened the door. She had a very long, pointed nose and wore a pointed hat. She looked at the children and smiled. "You kids seem to be hungry. Come in. I'll prepare a nice meal for you," she said. So the kids went in, but they didn't know that the woman was a witch. As soon as Hansel and Gretel entered the house, she locked the door behind them. Then she caught Hansel and locked him in a cage. Gretel started to cry again. The witch wanted to roast and eat Hansel, but he realized that Hansel was not fat enough yet. So she started cooking delicious food for Hansel every day, so that he would get fat and she could eat him. Poor Gretel had to cook every day. The witch had poor eyesight. Every evening she went to Hansel's stable, took Hansel's hand, and touched his finger to see if it was thick enough to fry. Smart Hansel thought of a plan. He gave her a stick to touch every day, instead of his finger. So the witch blamed herself for why Hansel wasn't gaining weight and prepared a new meal every day. But one day, Hansel couldn't give her stick, so the witch grabbed his finger. "Oh, now you're fat. Today I can grill you and eat really good food, she said. She told Gretel to heat up the oven. She was going to roast and eat Hansel. But when the witch stooped to check the oven's temperature, Gretel pushed her from behind and locked the oven door. "You're so smart, Gretel," exclaimed Hansel with great joy. Gretel rescued Hansel, and they filled their pocket with witch jewels. Finally, they managed to find their way home. When they get home, their stepmother had died. Their father greeted his children happily. "Thanks, smart kids," he said. The family was never poor or hungry again. That's all, the story. So, this is the 10 words that I will explain. Number 1 is we have time. Time is a plosive sound. So the air is blocked, and then you push like time. T, 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 t. Time, time, time. So number 2 we have father. Father is a fricative sound. The symbol is like that, like A, but there is a wave. We pronounce the. Your thumb is in the middle of your teeth, like the father, like that. And next we have each. Each is an fricative sound. The symbol is T and like F, but there is no line in the middle of the F. So we pronounce ch, each. Ch, each. Like that. So next we have made. Made is a nasal sound. The symbol is M. And we can pronounce m. Like your air is in your nose. So we pronounce made. So the next is we have holding is an approximate sound from the letter L. So we can pronounce l. Holding. The L is pronounced like holding, not holding, but holding, like that. So for the next we have soon. Soon is a long vowel. We have a double O in the middle, OO, SOON. So we pronounce oo and colon. Oo, not son, but soon. It's a soon. Next we have plan. Plan is short vowel from the letter A, but we pronounce AE. Plan, like that. So for the next we have wife. Wife is a diphthong vowel. So we have 2 vowel like I and E, and in the middle we have a consonant F. So I, E, we pronounce I, like wife. For the next we have forest. Forest is a 2 syllables word. So we pronounce forest, not forest, but forest. Directly, forest. For the next we have Hansel. Hansel is H sound, so we pronounce H in the Hansel, not like hour, like hour. We pronounce hour, no, but Hansel, we pronounce the H, Hansel. So I think that's all for me. I'm sorry if there's any of error words and error explanation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.